how they do that. We have a lot of exciting applications to share with you today, hopefully that will ultimately make you stand out with the apparel decoration that you do. The goal here, as we walk you through these 5 or 6 different applications, is to give you something that you're not already doing today, give you something that's easy to execute with the equipment or the capabilities you have in your shop or have access to. For those of you that aren't doing any decoration yet, hopefully this puts you on the leading edge when you finally jump in with some unique looks and styles that you can deliver to your customer. Today you're going to learn how to combine heat printing processes with stuff like water-based screen printing. We'll show you how to combine CAD cut materials with direct embroidery. Basically, it's just a selection of 5 or 6 different looks that should help you stand out in your business and really have your competitors asking how they do that. So to get started, I'm going to start with 4 poll questions because I always like to get a gauge on who the audience is, and I'll start those. The first one's a simple question. Do you own a heat press? Please take the time to click yes or no. Give you 3 more seconds. Okay, perfect. 90% is a yes, and 10% no. So we got to get the 90% talking to the 10% about what the heat press does for your business. All right, let's move on to the next question. Do you own a vinyl cutter? A few more seconds. Okay, so now we have a little lower percentage, 71% yes, 29% no. And then let's go to our next question. Do you have embroidery equipment? I like to keep these fast and easy. We'll get the 4 questions out of the way up front, and then we'll move on. A few more seconds. All right, so we got 62% do, 38% don't. And the last question, specifically screen printing in-house. Do you do screen printing in-house? I can see our audience today probably does a lot of heat printing and not a lot of screen printing. Maybe you contract your screen printing out. And let's share those results. So that's a 13% yes, 88% no. Kind of how I expected the results to be, kind of stepping down from a lot of heat printers, a good portion of you folks with vinyl cutters, a lot of folks still with embroidery equipment, over 60%, and then close to 10 to 15% with screen printing equipment in-house. So we'll touch a little bit on all those technology types today as we walk through the presentation. Something I do want to mention is there's going to be a lot of content covered in a short window of time. The question box is your best friend, so as you have questions, please type them in to the question box, and I will get your answer direct to my screen, and I'll try to stop and cover those as they're appropriate, or pick up the ones that I missed towards the end of the presentation. Okay, so the first application that I'm going to show you is one that you saw in the opening slide with the pink t-shirt that Courtney was wearing. And it all starts with us screen printing this particular heart design or background design element onto a t-shirt. So I want you to take this from the concept phase of if you were to pre-produce some screen printed garments in-house or contract those out to take to print on site at an event, this would be a great idea. Of course, you can solicit a job for mixed media that includes screen printing and heat printing, but the concept here is if we were to screen print and embroider before these garments go to print at an event. So it could be the heart design as we're showing here. You can see screen printing lets you get a lot of fine detail into the artwork. You could source this in a screen printed transfer and press it on. The particular type of screen printing that is done in this example is water-based screen printing with the discharge technique. So basically the screen print embeds itself into the garment. You don't have much of a feel at all, and there's no plastisol ink being used in this application, which is critical to our finishing step that I'm going to show you. So if you're keeping notes at home, you might want to jot down water-based screen printing. Makes for a great background print. So we've screen printed the heart. The next step we're going to take this t-shirt through is the embroidery machine. So for those of you that have screen printing or embroidery, so far you're with us and can do all of this, and we're completing what's called a run stitch, just with the word love over top of the heart design. And this is now a mixed media shirt. We have screen printing and embroidery on the garment. Imagine if we were going to a basketball tournament or something like that. We could pre-decorate a bunch of t-shirts with the word love and the heart on the t-shirts already in the various sizes, maybe take 100 of these with us to the event depending on the size of the event. The complex part is done. We have a high-end looking garment with embroidery and water-based screen printing on it. Now what we're going to do for the finishing step is drop some pre-sewn distress letters on top of the design that we've pre-created. So in this case, this product that you're looking at that I'm spelling out the word Colonials here, which is a local high school in our area, is the pre-sewn distress product from Stalls, made from chino twill, and it comes in the color combination of gray on black for the two color, and it comes in a natural shade for the single color. Or if you don't want it pre-sewn for the stitch look, you can actually just buy it in acrylic felt in probably 20 plus colors to match the local schools that are going to be at the event. So the concept here is we have a really fantastic finished looking design that Courtney is modeling there for us, with the word Colonials dropped over the screen printing and run stitch embroidery. This could easily be the word Falcons, could easily be Cougars, Bulldogs, you name it. The concept is you only commit your shirt inventory to the abstract part of the design, and then you come over top of it with a drop, a name drop. Whether that's done in pre-sewn distress letter is one way. If for those of you with a vinyl cutter, you know you can easily load in probably 30 different styles of materials into your cutter, doing a name drop out of glitter, reflective, foil, whatever you want to do over top of this. So this is one concept. Let's keep moving on. So I'm going to ask you to take a deep breath, and we're going to shift through our next concept. And this is going to be doing some pretty unique things, I think, with reflective material. So I don't have the poll question on there, but I'm just curious on how many people are using reflective material. So if you are using reflective material, just type the word reflect into the question box and send it over to me. That way I know. This particular material is CAD Cut Fashion Reflect. It can be cut on a vinyl cutter, or you can order it pre-cut from Stalls to just heat press on. One of the cool things about this reflective product, just on its own, is that it comes in 8 to 10 different colors. A lot of the reflective products you see on the market just come in silver, like the 3M Reflective C certified. So I wouldn't necessarily use it for somebody doing construction, but for fashion results or sportswear results that you just want the effect of the retro reflectivity, you should really leverage this product. It has some good stretch to it, and it reflects under the lights. Now, the key thing that I'm going to show you with this, everybody knows probably that you can cut out reflective designs out of different colors and heat press those onto garments. The cool thing that I'm going to show you is how we leverage a clear material that we sell to heat press on top of the reflective. Now, the particular product that I'm showing you is called CAD-COLOR Crystal Clear. It's actually intended to be printed on a machine such as the VersaCam to print a full color design for transfer onto white garments. But I'm actually just cutting it in this case. So all you need to have is a vinyl cutter. You can buy the CAD-COLOR Crystal Clear, cut it on your vinyl cutter, and weed it away. And I've actually created kind of a unique foreground pattern to this orange reflective design, where I have some, lines, different lines and stars and different shapes as a foreground to this reflective. Now, it doesn't look too magical right now in this picture, but really you can't really tell that the crystal material is on there until the lights go out. And watch what happens to this design when we shine a camera flash on it with the lights out. Pretty unique effect. The only parts that are reflecting now that you see shining white in the picture are by the crystal clear. So you can get pretty creative in what you cut and weed for a foreground to go on top of the reflective material. Basically, it blocks out the retroreflectivity. So when you're doing designs for somebody that's into cycling or running, or even, if we talk about doing a name and number combination onto a football jersey under the Friday Night Lights, you can get pretty creative with what you can do by using clear material, whether it's solutions clear or crystal clear, as a foreground to reflective products. I wish there was like a thumbs up or a like button so I could tell if you guys are digging these applications or not. But this one's pretty unique. I was impressed by this one, and both materials stretch very nicely. So let's go on to the next. I appreciate your feedback, Susan. I got an awesome in the question box. Okay, so the next one I want to show you is CAD-Cut Glitter Flake, and this is the unique application. First off, if you're not using CAD-Cut Glitter Flake and you have a heat press, this is a product that you really need to get onto. Once again, we sell it in the CAD-Cut roll form, so you can cut yourself and weed it and heat apply it, and then we also sell it pre-cut, so you can just heat press it. Now, one of the major problems with Glitter Flake that customers give us feedback on is that they really want to create two-color combos with glitter on glitter, and it's just something that is not durable and is not recommended. So what we've done is we've come up with a unique technique I like to call trapping, where basically we create our design in such a way so the two-color combination all adheres to the shirt and just overlaps slightly glitter on glitter, which through wash tests lasts a very long time, up through 50 washes. So you can see we're weeding out the silver piece of glitter in the top photo, and then we're weeding kind of the inverse of that out of the black glitter flake in the bottom photo. When I go to the next slide, what you need to do is for the silver, which we heat press down first, we just tack that with the heat press for a couple seconds. That gets you time to remove the liner away from the silver, and also limits its time underneath the heat so it doesn't shrink. So jot that down as a tip when you're doing multicolor applications. If you have problems with alignment, you just want to tack the base layer, any backgrounds, for just a couple seconds before you peel the backing. But basically, after we tacked that down, the shirt was exposed through the whole design, and then we just register the black material down into the void areas on the silver layer, and it fits down in there perfect. You have to spend a couple extra seconds on alignment, but after you heat press, the finished result is just a really brilliant zebra stripe glitter that I think kids would go crazy over. We showed this at the trade show in Atlantic City, and people were walking up to it and feeling it and taking a look at it all day and really asking, how did you make this? And so you can imagine that, we chose black and silver here for traditional zebra colors, but you can, feel free to mix and match different colors to create, pink zebra, purple zebra, whatever the school colors are. This is a cool application to go in and show that's different, and you'll have your competitors that won't really know how you accomplish this finish. I want to make sure this one sinks in because I feel like it's pretty easy to execute for the majority of our audience. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take a second to hop over to CorelDRAW, where I created this artwork, and just show you how it works. So over in CorelDRAW, the first thing I want to show you is that we've imported a vector zebra pattern. If you're not sure how to create patterns in vector format, I'll show you that momentarily in a software we have called CADWorks Live that's free to you if you're a Stalls customer. But basically, you want to bring your vector pattern over into your design program. You can do this right in CADWorks. I'm going to show you here in CorelDRAW. And ultimately, take your text piece that you want to drop the pattern into. You want to put them on top of each other. You want to draw a box around to select them. And if I can remember this correctly, I'm going to click on intersect. Clicked on intersect. You can see when I drag the Z out of there, it has the pattern all the way through it. Now what I can do is this can be my foreground layer or my striping on my design. If I'm doing a traditional overlap technique, if it was, for instance, Glitter Flake on another product, or just a basic style film where you can overlap fully, I would just use this as my foreground, and then I would basically create an outline on this layer for my background because I don't want it to have to line up exactly because that's going to be tough registration. So I'll end up doing a contour feature on this, on the background design, and I just go over to contour, which if you need to know how to get that menu, you just go to Effects, Contour. I'm using Corel X6, and I'm just going to put a little outline. Click Apply, and let me go to my wireframe view here. And you can see how it put an outline around the whole thing. Now when I break those two layers apart, one second here. If I break those two layers apart, I'm going to delete the foreground and just use the background. So now when I drop it behind my zebra pattern, it's going to give me a little bit of a gap space around the outside for application, where I'm not going to have to worry about perfect registration. It gives me a little leeway here, clear around the outside edge as I'm lining up my foreground. Now with the trapping technique, it gets a little more complicated. We have tutorial videos out there on YouTube that walk you through that to do the two-color glitter. I don't have time in this webinar, but we'll make sure that we publish the video so you can pause it, watch it, go back through, and know exactly how to create that. And so the sample I just did for you would be the full overlap technique. And so you can see here we did the first example with the Glitter Flake on Glitter Flake. For this particular example, we're using Fashion Film Electric for the orange, which creates like a tiger stripe, and we're putting it directly on top of black thermofilm. So thermofilm is our top-selling product, and so I'm sure a lot of you are familiar with it. You can continue to use that for your background design, just like we created, and just cut the stripe pattern, whether it's a zebra stripe or tiger stripe. I guess it depends on the color you make, out of your foreground material that is compatible with thermofilm. I had a lot of people that actually used white flock on top of black thermofilm, and it gives you an actual like fur sort of texture for an animal print. Okay. Trying to make sure I'm keeping my questions panel undocked here so I can keep up with everything. Okay. So that was a two-color combo technique with two applications. And the sample I'm showing you here is an actual two-color show-through technique. So basically you don't inflate your cost of material, but you use the shirt color as a show-through to get the finish you're after. In this case, the top one on the left is the giraffe print that we've created, and the bottom one on the right is kind of like a snow leopard pattern. So, you can pull any animal pattern that you have as a raster file that you find like online, and you can do a trace of it in a program called CADWorks, where it actually creates vector art so you can cut it. So I actually found this draft pattern online. This isn't something we had stock, and I brought it into CADWorks. And I apologize that CADWorks is an online program, so it may slow down a little bit and be a little bit delayed as you're watching this. But I want to make sure I show you this. If you're in CADWorks, you want to be in the CAD Print Designer. And you're basically going to go to File, Import, and Vectorize. This is how simple it is. Click on Import and Vectorize. Here's the draft pattern. It's a JPEG file that I pulled from online. I'm going to select that and click Next. Okay, so now you see the instructions are saying click on the background color of your image. Typically this is white. So in this case it's this cream color. I'm going to select that as my background target. And it'll bring up a rendering of the background color to make sure it's correct, and I'll click on Next. I'm not going to talk too much while this is working because it's a little choppy. Okay, now it's saying pick up the 9 foreground colors, and you can see it. It's important to pick the most contrasting colors for the best results. So I'm not going to waste my time with picking the ruler or anything that was on the image. I'm just going to pick the foreground color that I want it to vectorize around. Ideally, you'll want to pick the least amount of colors possible, because you start selecting up the 9 colors, it's really going to have to work a lot and take some time. So I'll just pick the basic brown and click on Next. And it's vectorizing it right now. It'll take a couple minutes, and ultimately it did a pretty nice job. This is all cuttable art that's vectorized, that's ready to come into CADWorks. I click OK. It drops it in my draft pattern, which if I go to the wireframe view down in CADWorks, you can see that's all cuttable artwork that's ready to rock and roll. The next thing I need to do is similar to what I did in Corel, is I need to drop this draft pattern inside of my number. And so I'm going to drag away my foreground number here and place it on top of the draft pattern. And if I select them both, I'll go to Shaping. Make sure I get this right. I believe it's back minus front. And then when I grab that and drag it away, you can see it punched the draft pattern out of my number, and I can drop it back on top of this. And so if I send this to the cutter, I'm basically, after it's all cut, I'm going to grab the orange piece and weed it away. It's all one connected piece. I'll weed away the orange piece, and that will give me the show-through on the shirt. If I go back into wireframe view, you can kind of see, you'll weed that away. I'll have to go and clean up these little pieces here with the weeding tool. But at the end of the day, I'm going to get a great show-through of the t-shirt color. In this case, we used the bronze color of the Glitter Flake and put it on top of a cream-colored t-shirt to try to maintain what would be the color of a draft. Okay. So Susan typed in a question and wanted to know if glitter film can be heat pressed directly over thermofilm. Good question. In the case of Glitter Flake, currently our product testing lab doesn't recommend it for 2-color, which is why we did the trapping technique where we kind of knocked out the back of the design so the glitter is actually adhering to the garment and not directly to the other glitter film or thermofilm. Having said that, our product testing lab doesn't recommend it for ongoing consistent results. We have had customers that have had success with putting Glitter Flake directly over top of thermofilm in a variety of other products and have independently offered that. So while we won't support it from a return standpoint, I will just say that customers have had some pretty good success with that application, but the trapping technique is the best way. The other thing that I want to make mention of is, we did the electric material directly over top of thermofilm. So there are other products that you can use directly on top of products without the trap technique. Another idea to create a pattern is we sell the heat transfer foil product that already comes in a zebra pattern in pink and silver. In this particular case, we've heat pressed that on top of what can be screen printed adhesive. It can be a goof-proof transfer from Transfer Express it'll stick to. You can cut a design out of our thermo adhesive. There's a lot of different ways, but I just wanted to mention, if you just want a zebra pattern and you like this color combo, it's very easy. Basically, you heat press the base goof-proof transfer from Transfer Express or CAD cut adhesive down first. and then you just line the foil on top of it, press it, and peel it away when cold, and it sticks right to the bag in this case. So I wanted to show you another concept that that I like, where it's kind of creating faux rhinestones around a design. In this case, I actually made this T-shirt for my daughter, and she's wearing it today at school for Green Day, for St. Patrick's Day. And I started by heat pressing glitter because she told me she wants the sparkly stuff. After she looked at all the color swatches, she wanted the sparkly stuff on her shirt, so I pressed that down first. Once again, utilizing the zebra technique for the glitter material. And then I created a faux rhinestone cut out of our hologram material. Now, CAD-cut hologram is a nice high sheen foil product. The nice thing about using it in a small dot pattern or hearts or stars or something like this is that the main negative of this material is if you use it on a large piece, like a large number or something, and that starts to go through the washing machine or the dryer around the drum. This material is very foil-like and has a tendency to want to crack. But if you limit the size of the design component on it, in particular using it for a faux rhinestone or faux heart, it doesn't crack like that because it's not a large coverage area. So it's very durable when you use it in this method. So I basically created this faux heart design, which I'll show you how to do in a second. And heat press that as a ring around the glitter flake material. And you know, I was pretty happy with the T-shirt. She was too. And I think this is a cool look where, without having, you know, to work with rhinestones, particularly and brushed stones, you can create this sort of pattern out of any shape that you want, cut it, weed it, and just heat press it down. And let me show you how you create this in CorelDRAW. So this was some of the original artwork, but I'll show you. It's a really easy function actually in Corel, and this webinar will be recorded, so if you don't capture it all now, you can go back and watch. So it can be whatever shape you want. So I did the heart already, so let's just do a little circle. So I'm just going to draw one little circle on the screen. Let's just make it a 1/4 inch circle, and then I'm going to copy it and paste it, and so I have 2 circles. Basically, once I have 2 circles on the screen, I'm going to draw a box around them to select them both. Then I'm going to use a feature called the blend feature. So if I go up to Effects and click on Blend, it'll bring up the blend toolbar in my right panel here. And within the blend toolbar, you'll be able to tell it how many of these little circles do I want it to make. In this case, we'll start with 20. And I'll be able to click Apply. And basically, if I zoom in here, it's going to give me 20 little circles to the size that I've made them. From there, I need to figure out what vector line or what shape I want to place those circles on. So in this case, let me just start with some basic shapes. And I'll grab a heart design. I'll draw a heart. And we'll say I want to drop the circles onto this heart. So I'll go back and select the circles again. And up at my blend menu, when I have it selected, it brings me some options up here that pop up when you're working within the blend menu. So basically, I want to move these to a new path. So move them from the current line that they're on and apply them to a new path. So I click on that, tell them I want to move it to a new path, and then I'll come and select the path. And you can see it dropped them all in one little spot on my path. They're all stacked right there. So if I want them to blend it around equally around the whole path, all I do is go back to my blend menu and say blend along full path, click Apply, and you can see it drop my 20 faux stones along the path. Now obviously that wouldn't look very good, so maybe I want it to be 40 stones instead of 20. You can mess around with this number, you know, increasing it up or down until you get the exact look that you're after. In this case, 50 may be the right amount. Let me zoom in and take a look. Yeah, it looks like it's dropping them pretty nice all along this path with 50 of them. So at that point, I need to get rid of that original vector line, so I just go up to Arrange. I'm going to break the blend apart, Click off of my design, click in the center to select the original heart, and click on delete on my keyboard. Now I've basically created some faux rhinestones in the form of circles here, which can be whatever size you want, that are ready to send to a cutter. Likewise, you can do it for the heart shape, stars, whatever pattern that's easy enough to cut and weed that you want to come up with, you can create. And you'd be surprised at how easy this weeds, because these are all open holes. You just want to make sure you cut it accurately. I have a lot of people that will say, okay, well, that's pretty cool, but how do I fill the whole design? And so with that, the first thing you want to do is basically put a contour on the design, so you're creating multiple paths. So under your contour menu that we showed you earlier, you want to apply a contour that fills the object to the center. Click apply. That may be a little much. I'll Control Z that. Let's fill the center, 1/4 inch increments, click apply. And now you can see I can go back and do that blend feature and add it to each particular line until I have an item that's full. So it's just little techniques in understanding how to, a little bit about how to design and how to leverage materials. But from a distance, when somebody's looking at these faux rhinestones on a t-shirt, you'd be surprised at how many people walk up at a trade show and don't realize that it's not even rhinestones until they put their hand on it. And then a lot of them actually like it, especially for polyester performance fabrics, because of its lightweight feel. So dance schools, kids, cheer groups, you name it, this is a cool application. The last example that I'm going to show you today is basically utilizing glitter flake material in conjunction with your embroidery equipment for applique. In this case, we're cutting and weeding a design out of glitter flake in the top picture. And in the bottom picture, you'll see we have our embroidery machine set up and hooped, and it's sewing out a placement stitch as if we were doing traditional applique. I go to my next photo, and I see the placement stitch has been sewn. I remove the hoop from the embroidery machine, take my glitter flake design that's been cut and weeded, and position it over the placement stitch. It's all pre-aligned for you on the carrier. Because of the depth of the hoop, I won't be able to lock a heat press head down inside of this. But what I can actually do by using thermal tape and taping the design on in place so it doesn't move, I can flip the garment over and I can heat press it. And all I'm trying to do is getting it to temporarily hold enough in place so I can sew it out. Of course, you could use spray tack and remove individual components and place them. I think it's easier just to take it away from the embroidery machine, tack it down upside down with the heat press for somewhere around 30 seconds or so, depending on the thickness of the fabric you're working with, just to get the adhesive temporarily melted so you can get the carrier away for sewing. So once you heat press that down, as you see in the bottom right corner, you're going to load it back into the embroidery machine and sew out your zigzag or satin stitch that you are used to creating for applique. If you don't know how to create a zigzag or a satin stitch, we sell a program called Tool Stitch Pro that can easily add these stitch types to vector artwork that you've set up. Once you sew this out, we have our completed design here. And one thing I do want to point out is we sewed out the majority of it, but we also came back in with that faux rhinestone look. And instead of sewing the star in the center, we dropped in an application of a faux rhinestone. So it really gives you a unique look and feel on the garment. You can't really differentiate this stuff from twill when it's sewn on because of the thickness of the glitter flake. So this particular sample has been kind of raved about here at the office. People love this finish. So it's something else that you can add to what you do to stand out. So the goal of this was just to get your mind going and to get you familiar with certain applications and using products in a way that maybe you never thought of using them before. So we hope at the end of it is, instead of saying, how did they do that, you're saying, now I can do that, or we're saying, now you can do these types of unique applications there in your business to kind of make you stand out and start to leverage mixed media and be different. One thing I will say is you have to charge for this stuff. When you're combining processes and ultimately driving up labor costs, you want to make sure you charge for it, and often customers are willing to pay for it because it's something that they can't get anywhere else. I'm going to give you a couple seconds to type in your questions, and I'll stay on and answer. While I'm doing that, I'm going to explain to you the next webinar we have coming up with Great Garment Graphics. So you can see on your screen there, the next webinar is another kind of forward-thinking thing with Lucas Crosley from our Stalls Canada group. And he's going to explore the art of printing with the Roland BN20, and that's a 20-inch VersaCam Roland unit that utilizes solvent inks for creating full-color transfers. So to go to the webinar archive, to sign up, or to read the latest blog, you can go to greatgarmentgraphics.com. Okay, so questions are rolling in. I'll stay on and answer some of these. For those of you that don't want to hear the answers or stick around, you can feel free to tune out at this point. Okay, so Kathy asks, does the Glitter Flake wash well? Yes, absolutely. This particular product has been lab certified for 50-plus washes. I always tell people we stop our wash testing at 50 because that typically means it's going to last the life of the garment. Let's see. Henry asks, with the full rhinestone look in the sequins, are they about the same? Yeah, so if you've been to a trade show recently, you've probably seen the spangles or sequin products that they're selling large machines to create sequin transfers that you can heat press on. I would say, yeah, that when you're cutting the faux rhinestones, they look and feel about the same as these new types of sequins, heat transfer sequins that they're using that don't require sewing. Let's see. How do I get the CAD-Works Live? That one's really easy. All you have to do is go to CADWorksLive.com. And then I'm logged in, but let me log out here for a second. When you go to CADWorksLive.com, you can basically click the free trial button and sign up, which will give you 30-day access. And once we verify that you're a Stalls account, you'll have indefinite free access. Once again, once you're in here, which let me log in again real quick. I want to show you what designer that I really like to use. There's a few designers on CADWorks. I really think the best functionality is within the CAD Print Designer. And then CADWorks also features a downloadable cut driver called Vector Cut. So if you go to downloads and you download this Vector Cut, it's also free. That's going to allow you to cut to your Roland cutter, your I-line cutter, and a host of others with cut by color separation. It just really integrates really nicely with CADWorks. All right, some more questions coming in here. Glad to help, Sharon. We can give you ideas to push the envelopes. Appreciate the compliment. On CADWorks file import and vectorize, what types of files can be vectorized? Also, will a hand iron be hot enough to heat the glitter flake, then embroider? Good question, Cindy. So on the import and vectorize, there's a lot of file types, so let me just go to it to show you. So you can see the allowed file types right here, JPEG, GIF, PNG, bitmap, TIFF, all under 2 megs are the acceptable file types. So a pretty good selection of raster file types. And then the hand iron question, I don't know that answer. I mean, I have a tacking iron here for some other things, and then an actual hand iron would give you better surface area. So I would recommend trying that. We hope to have more information on glitter applique out soon. So if you're not subscribed to the blog over at Great Garment Graphics, I would recommend immediately after this you sign up over there because we have some pretty big innovations coming down the pipeline in the next 20 to 30 days that you're going to want to hear about. Okay, is there a way to get a background picture of the glitter flake colors to make samples for a website? Question from Eric. Eric, we have your question logged. Let me get back to you. I believe we do have those available, but I need to confirm that. The question you typed in will show up with your name and contact info when we get the webinar report. All right, Susan, excellent webinar. Thank you. Okay, so we'll end it here. Thanks everybody for tuning in. Be sure to visit Great Garment Graphics for the wrap up, and appreciate everybody taking time out of their Thursday afternoon to listen in. Have a great day.